just entered the bear crawling nation. This is Mordant Charles. Welcome to the other side of live.
All right, welcome to another episode of The Other Side of Live. As you had just heard in the lead-in, I am Mordant Mon, your host, and with me is my co-host, Charles. Say hello, Charles.
Hello, Charles.
I think people are going to get pretty tired of hearing us talk like that, almost every time.
I get pretty tired of hearing us talk like that. I don't know.
Now, has everybody Charles, have you had a great 2 weeks? What's been fantastic about your last 2 weeks?
I got tickets for vacation. That's about it.
Where are you going?
I'm going to the great world of the Disneys.
Walt's World.
So, yeah, we're going to be doing that. But for the most part, I don't know. It's been okay.
Yeah? Not great, not fantastic?
No, if I'm being honest, no, I have like some wrath in my heart.
You have wrath. Not just anger, but wrath.
Yeah, man. I don't know.
One of the 7 deadly sins residing in your heart. What's up with that?
I needed rent money. I had to lend it out to somebody.
Right.
I don't know. There's no one thing. Work is up, good. The nation's up, good. But I haven't been sleeping well lately. Allergies or I don't know what's going on. But I've been waking up tired, and I get angry. I lose my mind, dude. And I realize that I'm angry at something because it just gets amplified by the lack of sleep. I don't know what it is, but last night. I was very angry taking my shower. I was like, you know what? When you ask me how you doing, if I'm going to be honest, I have to say I've got wrath in my heart. I just want to destroy something.
And you're just waiting for the lucky winner. That person who's going to say that wrong thing.
Try not to.
No. Hopefully it won't be me tonight. Maybe after we're all recording, I'm like, where's my stuff? You're like, all right, you are the lucky winner.
Last night I actually slept well. Today I feel pretty good. But I had to use some medication to sleep, and I hate doing that.
Right.
I hate doing that, but yeah, whatever.
Well, I want to welcome everybody for tuning in here to The Other Side of Live, and welcome to our podcast audience who is out there in podcast land, who is listening to this after the fact. But everybody who's stopped by to say hello and see what's what, welcome back to The Other Side of Live. It was nigh but 2 weeks ago that we did a show about, and it was entitled, How Bad Do You Want It? And tonight's episode is like, we got into the topic a little bit. And then we got a lot of phone calls, which I thought was great. Please, please, please always call in 813-413-7133. I thought it was great, and a lot of the phone calls had to do with how bad do you want it, with how bad do you really want this thing that you're chasing, this dream that you say that you want. And Allison Williams called in and coined the phrase, quite accidentally, how hard do you want it? So, how bad do you want it, part 2, how hard do you want it, is tonight's topic. So basically a continuation of last time, which I think we had a lot of fun with. So we're going to go on with that. And of course, we're going to talk about our lives. So thank you, everybody who is tuning in. And let's move on. Let's move right in. Let's dive in. If you want to call in, again, that phone number is 813-413-7133. Charles.
Do I call in? Do I have to get my phone and call that too, or what?
No, you're good. You're already called in. I have called you. We've set it up. We're all good. So what have you been working on other than, your lack of sleep?
Everything. That'll bring a point I wrote down. Would you...
Wait. You wrote stuff down? You prepped for this show?
Well, 5 minutes before the show, I started writing.
Oh, that's better than I.
Would you recommend me to be a professional podcast coach?
Yeah, I would. You're my podcast coach.
Cool. I'm actually, there's a podcastcoach.com run by a guy that I'm becoming friends with, but I know fairly well. We've run in the same circles for many years. And he right now can't afford to have anybody help him because he lost his day gig, so he's trying to make this his real gig. But he sets out. He's got a heart like mine of he wants to help out. He'll give of his time as much as he charges for it, and this and that. So I talked with him today. I emailed him today. We emailed back and forth, and I got to set up a meeting to talk with him because he does the uber professional editing. Here's how you do it. Here's some tips. He's come from many years of stage mission and doing that kind of thing, and he's really good at helping people. And I've learned a lot of tips from him listening to School of Podcasting from schoolofpodcasting.com.
Oh, he's that guy?
Yeah, Dave Jackson. He's that guy.
Dave Jackson.
And like I said, I've known him for for about 5 or 6 years now. He started about 6 or 8 months in podcasting before I did, and he really got into it. And, anyway, we talked today about my desire to help people and the fact that I do live. I mean, I'm live. I'm the personality kind of guy. I can help get your personality out, find what works best for you, as you have attested. And so, even though we were talking, he's not ready to send anything my way yet. I was just like, it wouldn't hurt to get some backing from some people. So,
what do you need? Do you need a video endorsement? Do you need just somebody to write in?
Right now, nothing until I talk to him. But I will
find out.
Video endorsement for sure. But yeah,
well, because that's good that you've been moving forward with this kind of thing, and actually that you brought it up, because this is your thing that you say that you want to do. You love doing this, and you like to make this what you actually do, as your bread and butter job, as opposed to just your pie in the sky dream. So you're actually going out and looking for that person who can help you, instead of sitting back and going, yes, I know the secret, and I'm going to move the universe so that everything comes to me. Part of that is just recognizing opportunity, but part of that, if you see it at a distance, hey, I recognize, look, that opportunity, I noticed it, it's way over there. Should I wait for it to come closer? No, I'm going to go for it over there, because how bad do I want it? Yeah. Prove it to myself, prove it to God, the universe, put them all on notice that this is what I want. I'm going to grab it with both hands. Was that William the Conqueror, when he stepped out onto the English shores, he tripped. And I've used this story before, but you get to hear it again. He tripped, and it was a bad omen, considered a very bad omen, but he turned it into a good thing. He grabbed 2 handfuls of dirt, and he stood up and said, thus I take England into my own 2 hands. And of course he did. So thus you should take your dream into your own 2 hands. You should go out there with both fistfuls and go, hey, can you help me out? Yes, I'm talking to you, but I'm also talking to this person. I'm talking to this person. I'm talking to this person. Something's going to hit, because what you focus on grows. And if you're focusing on it, you're stirring the quantum soup. You're causing reality to open up. That the secret and everything is bringing stuff to you. True, but if you're going out, you got to act. You got to act on it. I think that's what you just did. You began acting, and then you got to, follow up. Not just the initial. I did my part, so I'm done. You got to follow up. Hey, I talked to this person, and I'll jump into a story in a second about that. But I want to finish hearing about yours.
Well, I definitely will be emailing him tonight back. If you want to do a meeting on Thursday, which is, of course, when I do my show, but I'll be emailing him back tonight and seeing if I can set something up in the day. He has lost his day job anyway.
Has he heard your show?
Yeah, he's actually...
why don't you have him call into your show and have a conversation during your show? It'd be interesting to your audience, and it might be a kick.
You think that'd be interesting? I was talking podcasting and our passions with it. You think that'd be interesting?
Well, what else do you talk about? I mean, the fact that it's you talking about it, you're going to bring your personality to the conversation. Ask him if he's comfortable. Say, hey, why don't we talk about this on the air? Right, it's going to give him. It's going to give his. It's going to give his. What he's doing some advertising. People, you're gonna queue into his website and whatever else, so you can send people to him as well. Ask him. If he says, no, let's just talk you and I one-on-one, then go with that. But what the heck? It's another thing that you can talk about on the air. And I know that the Bear Crawling Nation podcast will talk about almost anything with passion and that human connection. Did I read that right? Did I read my script right?
No, you didn't. You're fired.
Curses.
Hey, you talk about William the Conqueror, but that's just revisionist history. What he really said was, who the hell left that there?
Actually, I'm reading a series of books about the Civil War historian, and he's taken this group of guys that were actually, I think they were all really lost at sea, but instead they're brought over into this other world. So he's using all this stuff and connecting, as their timeline gets bigger and bigger, and they're getting more and more more and more things that they learn how to build. It kind of follows the timeline of our world. And I think it's really, really great. But then he has one of the characters do that. And because I know that story, he tripped and he grabbed he grabbed the ground. He says, and thus I take this land into my... I was like, oh, dude, you took that from history. You just took me out of your story by using that and sneaking that in there. And you thought that somebody wouldn't catch it. And we did. Shame. It brought me out of the story a little bit. I'm like, oh, I know this story. Now, am I guilty of something like that? Maybe.
I don't know. If you trip on the stage and use it, as long as it's funny, I wouldn't call you guilty.
Yeah, but putting it in your own story, your own book, as if that's your idea, because it's a really cool thing, but it actually happened in history.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about following up just for a second. As you know, my thing is going after motivational speaking, and I've been talking to a couple people. There's a guy that works at one of the Renaissance festivals I work at, and he is very involved with beginning motivational speaking with people, and I think he actually had his own group, and I'm like, I should talk to him, but he's kind of one of my bosses, and I feel really weird about it. But after having our conversation 2 weeks ago and then talking to a couple other people, I'm like, all right, if the door opens, I'm gonna use it. So, I was walking back to my stage after morning meeting, and he was there, and he started giving me a hard time about something with the Tortuga twins, but smiling about it, laughing about it. I'm like, yeah, cool. Let me talk to you for a minute. And I brought it up. I said, hey, what about motivational speaking and blah blah blah. He goes, I'm really involved with that. I'm like, yeah, I know. So he goes, I'll drop by the stage and I'll talk to you, and he never did. Now I could let that go. I could say, well, maybe, I don't want to push too hard, or maybe the universe is, maybe it's the timing's wrong. But I think what really needs to happen is I need to send a follow-up email saying, no, I'm serious. That's on me again. How bad do I want this? How hard do I want this? It's difficult for me, going up to people that are, authority figures over me and saying, hey, please, sir, may I have some more? Or could you give me a help out, and not just feel like I'm a total dork. So it is up to me to email this guy and go, yes, I'm still serious, blah, blah, blah. That's my story with that. That's all I'm saying about that.
Are you gonna?
Totally. Would I bring this up and not? Are you kidding me? You'd nail my butt to the wall if I didn't.
When, if I could remember, when did you say you met him? Talk to him about this?
It was on Sunday.
It's Tuesday. Why have you not emailed me? It's Tuesday and Jesus is coming. You should email it now.
Oh, I got to call in. Thank God. Let me just, I got to click that. Add to conference. Hello, 480.
Hey, Ricky,
please turn down. Hi.
Okay.
Julie.
I didn't know.
Julie, I need you to mute your speakers.
Is this okay?
Yeah, you just talked to us on the phone, but we're picking up and it's doing a loop.
Even right now?
No, we're good now.
No, you're good right now. All right, I guess I haven't intro Julie yet. I actually asked her to call in this week because I was talking to her after last week's show. I noticed that she'd popped in. Julie is a friend of mine from Arizona, and she is I have my notes and I can't find my notes of all the stuff that I wanted to say about Julie. And
that's okay. Put me on hold and take your time. I wasn't sure when you wanted me to call in.
Okay, well, let me just introduce you because we were having dead air pretty soon anyways. Julie works for Northcentral University in Scottsdale, Arizona. She works with mostly with doctoral and master's programs students, potential students, to assess whether or not they really want to do this before they spend all the time and money, et cetera, et cetera. And she goes through a process where she's able to assess their motivation. And to see, yes, indeed, they really want to do this. See how committed they are to this thing, or why. Is that right, Julie?
That's just about perfect. Yes.
Just about. Why don't you make it perfect? Tell us what you do.
Yeah. Well, my main thing, because for one, I'm looking for a lot of things. I'm looking to see what type of support network they have around them. Because as you know, your listeners know, when you go and you're going after your goals, there's always going to be naysayers. So
Right.
I'm looking for people that they surround themselves that they can go to for support when the times get tough. Okay, I could be that person for them. Sometimes for people, I may be the only person for them. Maybe they have a lot of negativity in their life. So that's one thing I'm looking for. Another thing I'm looking for is, what is their motivation? What in the world is making them want to go through the craziness of obtaining a PhD?
Right.
Why in the heck would anyone want to torture themselves like that?
Right. And this is just to save them time and save the college from spending too much time on somebody who's really not into it at all.
Right. Maybe they don't have the skills and aptitudes. For some people, a lot of people say, oh, just because I want to be called doctor. Well,
Right.
let's look into that a little bit more. Because if that's all it is, when the times get rough, you're going to drop. And you just wasted a bunch of your money for nothing. All right. So I'm looking at real motivational factors. What is it truly driving that person to embark on this journey? And when the times do get tough, we can always go back and revisit what their initial motivation was to try and get them remotivated to continue instead of dropping out.
Right. So that you know that they're really committed to this goal that they've set up for themselves. Now, is this something that we can apply to our own lives in chasing whatever our goals are, or whatever our dreams may be? Hey, I want to be a writer. Or, hey, I want to be a ballet star, or whatever. Are the questions that you ask, are they something that we can use as well? We can ask ourselves just to assess?
Most definitely. They can be applied. I use this in my daily life, prioritizing as well. It's really helped me focus on what it is that I truly want to do. Because we all have a bunch of things that we want to do, and I write them down. And then I go through and prioritize, okay, which of these goals are the ones that I need to be working on and make a priority right now. So it becomes a priority of assessments, assessment priority. Go through and mark down the goals. And they could be anything, whether it be improving eating habits, whether it be obtaining a new profession, or seeking out new friends. Whatever your goal is, the process still works the same. One, you need to look for your support network. If you're having a bunch of people telling you can't do things, probably a good idea to start limiting your contact with them and start surrounding yourself with people who are going to be supportive and help you achieve your goals. Just like you were mentioning earlier, you're seeking out those individuals who can help you attain those goals.
Right.
That's probably one of the first steps. I think that's one of the first steps you should assess. Like, do you have a support network to be successful? Because no one ever does it alone.
Now, is somebody like just your buddies? Is that people that are like, oh yeah, let's say, I always use the example of writer because I write. If I have friends that are like, oh, that'd be great if you're a writer. Is that what you mean? That kind of network, or do you mean something else?
Anything that they're giving you positive reinforcement would be great.
Right.
Of course, the more detailed kind of support, like with you knowing an individual who can help you with your motivational speaking, that's even better. But as long as you have people creating that positive environment telling you can do it, that's what you should be looking for.
Right. So I should also look for maybe people who are involved in the arena that I want to go into.
Exactly. Exactly. For a lot of people, a lot of my students don't have that. They may be the first-time degree earner in their whole family.
Right.
So they may not have the mentors. They may not have the support that they need to be successful, which is where I come in and try and help them establish that network of support.
How do you do that? Let's say they're, my family is, I have this dream to do this one thing. I want to be a performer on stage, and yet my family wants me to be a doctor. What would you tell that person, especially if they're young?
That becomes difficult during Thanksgiving, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because there's certain times you can't avoid your family. So
Right.
I recommend people taking it in doses, take it for what it's worth, and realize that there are, make those connections with people who are going to support you. And you can overcome those objections from other people. You can learn to tune them out.
Right, cool, very cool. What else do you recommend? What's the next step?
Now, I find that for a lot of people, their biggest objection to overcome in attaining their goal is their own self.
Right. Self-limiting beliefs, self-limiting talk in your head. I'm not good enough for this. Maybe,
Yeah, and letting themselves get derailed. Or believing, I know you probably talk about this a lot with people. You have those thoughts running through your head all the time, those self-doubts.
Right.
And that's where you come in, helping people overcome those negative thoughts, those self-fulfilling prophecies they create for themselves. That's a different kind of area where individuals can run into with achieving their goals. And again, if that happens, that's when you go back to the original motivation.
Okay, where would you recommend them do if they're dealing with these self-doubts?
Well, I don't really know. I'm doing that myself. As soon as I get one in my own head, because I'm pursuing my doctorate as well, and
right.
I just try and snuff it out, replace that bad thought immediately with a good one. And that's where the kind of work you're doing really comes in handy too. Is teaching
like the
people
affirmations
how to do
and
that.
visualization and all that kind of thing.
Right.
So the first thing is, if you have a goal, if you have something that you really want to go to, you try to find, surround yourself with a good network of people who have got your back.
Right.
Positive peeps.
Yeah, and then when you do run into those struggles, maybe they have another avenue or a suggestion that you didn't think of before, and all of a sudden those clouds lift and you see the bright sunshine again, and there you go. You're back on track. That happens a lot.
Yeah, I found that, sometimes everything's cyclical, or, there's hills and valleys with everything. I'm like, I'm just not feeling it right now. But as long as I know I'm going to get up that hill and I'm going to start feeling it again, keep moving through that valley and to the other side. And you're like, oh, okay, I'm really energized now. Or it might be some outside source for me. It might be some outside source. I'll look for, something new to read, something new to listen to that will put me on track that is similar to what I've heard before, but kind of jazzes me to get in the game again or feel much more positive about stuff.
Yeah, and then a perfect example right there. And then there's another thing when you're asking how do you overcome like those negative thoughts in your head, or maybe you don't have that support network around readily. You have to go out and seek it and create it. And then when you do find it, I do this with students on a regular basis. I have them send me a list of things that I can use to help keep them on track. And I ask them, okay, when times get tough, when you're feeling like you just can't do it anymore, what do you want me to say that's going to trigger something in you to go on? Now, it's not going to be anything, because I don't know. I don't know what makes that person tick. Only they do. So if you've got a mentor or a good friend or whoever that you can work with, telling them, having that honest conversation, because no one likes to talk about, well, when things get tough and I think I'm going to quit, what can you do to help me stay in it?
Right. I think I read from W. Clement Stone, who was somebody who learned from Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich and a few other things. W. Clement Stone, he talked about, I don't know if it's called self-motivating words or call to action words or something, where if you need something to get you moving, you say these words to you, then you know that you're going to do it. Like one of his is called Do It Now. If you ever have something that you're not sure about or anything, you're like, oh, I don't feel like it. It's like, do it now. You say that to yourself and you act on it. Something that's going to get you back into that positive frame of mind to keep moving forward. There's a lot of fake it till you make it in all this. And some people think, yeah, but you're faking it. Yes, but feelings will follow the actions. And something that I've learned from doing on-camera acting is if you put yourself in a situation where you would be afraid and you're in a frame of mind where you would be afraid, suddenly you are actually feeling afraid. And that's what's needed for camera. You can't just act like you're afraid. It's not good enough, because then it looks like you're either overacting or you're faking it. But you want to have to actually bring the emotion out. So putting yourself, doing some physicality where you're really afraid, or as if you were really afraid, will sometimes bring the emotions. So the fake it till you make it or just, for me, saying the affirmations and really trying to feel those feelings, and then suddenly it starts working for me.
Yep. And I think that can be applied in a broad spectrum approach. That can be used in any endeavor you pursue. Fake it till you make it, whether it's in the various, whatever anyone wants to do, whether it be an author, motivational speaker, actor, actress, a PhD, a professor, the best stay-at-home mom in the world. Whatever it is, that is your goal. Whatever that goal is, fake it till you make it. You're right on with that.
Awesome. Charles, do you have any questions? I know that in the last show you actually had a couple questions and I signed off with a guest. Do you have any questions right now for Julie?
Well, you mentioned the mentorship, and that's been my largest frustration with life lately, is every industry out there talks about get a mentor. How do you go about finding offbeat mentors? I mean, if somebody wants a doctorate, they can usually go somewhere and find somebody in that field, science, medicine, whatever you're getting your extended degree in, and maybe find mentors. But do you, as with the college, do you have a program where you can connect mentors to the people in their fields that they're looking for? I mean, we do podcasting, and he wants to do public speaking. It's not that easy to find people to mentor us in what we do. What do you suggest?
Exactly, and that is one of the struggles that people encounter with this aspect of mentoring. And it's one of the solutions I've actually brought up to my university to implement. I've suggested they implement a mentoring program, a peer-to-peer. Now, we already have a faculty mentoring approach with the learners, where it's a one-on-one learning model with the instructor and the student, so that's invaluable. But there's also benefits to a peer-to-peer. It's immeasurable. And I've actually suggested we pair third-year doctoral students with first-year doctoral students, because you really do need that sense of community and support from your peers in addition to the faculty mentors. So hopefully, they're taking into consideration, they're implementing some other programs, but nothing that's peer-to-peer. And I find there's immeasurable value to that. And anyone that's trying to achieve sometimes what seems an insurmountable goal at times, that peer-to-peer mentoring is crucial in keeping you on task. So others, even within your podcast community, just the people that are out there doing it and maybe have a little bit more experience than you, would be potential mentors to you, because you'd be establishing a community that you can share information where real learning and motivation can occur.
Cool.
It's almost like a mastermind group, and of course, Charles, you're able to help everybody who is beneath you, just starting out, or even have been doing this for a while because of all the live show stuff that you've done. You certainly could jump into a mentoring program as well.
Yeah, but it's like you say here. It's like who do you turn to? When you need mentor about deciding if kids really should go on to extend college or not. Who's your mentor? I mean, I'm sure can mentor many people, but where do we go for help?
Right, since we're not in college.
Me personally, or you?
No, you personally.
Me personally, I go to my peers and I draw on the resources I have available. So a good resource for me is someone who I personally know that already has a PhD, is a professor, and ask them. There's nothing more flattering. You're paying someone a compliment when you ask them to mentor you, because you're giving them the kudos that, hey, I trust you, I value what you've done, can you help me? And those are very powerful words to use with someone. I've never had anyone turn me down when I've asked for help.
Right.
Number two, peer-to-peer. I use a lot of peer-to-peer. From other students that I know that are in the program, I seek out their advice. And I advise my students to do the same. Because a lot of times, and I've actually been a mentor to many people before as well, and I've learned more from mentoring than I ever did from being the mentee.
Oh, yeah? You mean more about what you...
Oh, yeah.
So it's like when we were training our new guys, when we were training our new Tortugas, I learned more about how Jeff and Ron did their characters and why they did certain things. And it solidified for me why I did certain things. And I think we know our shows better than we ever have after having trained these guys, because it forced us to look at everything instead of just doing it.
Exactly. It's quite a different viewpoint being the mentor. And like I said, I learned way more from mentoring other people than I ever did as a mentee. It's a symbiotic relationship. Learning is not static. It's a two-way street. So any chance that you have to mentor someone, whether it be peer-to-peer or in whatever setting, it's people who have done this before realize that, and it's an opportunity many people don't turn down. So I just recommend taking a bold step and asking someone. And I've never had anyone say no.
Right. Right. One of the things that really helped me to talk to this guy was I was speaking with a friend of mine who's actually worked with him. And she told me he loves it when he's helping up-and-coming speakers. He's all about that. And he seems like kind of, because we're all out there at the festival and performers, we're all kind of full of ourselves. He seems to carry that around with him. But when she said, no, he's all about doing that kind of stuff. That made me feel comfortable enough to bridge that and go, hey, can you help me too? So that's what it sounds like for me.
And you had your own experience in that you had to overcome your own fear to approach someone that you thought was unapproachable in that way.
Yes.
And that's something I think everybody encounters. And he said yes, didn't he?
Yes. Yes, but I think also part of my proving ground is that I have to pursue him. I have to email him, I have to call him, I have to do whatever and go, no, I'm serious about this. Instead of just letting it lie. There's a story I heard. There was and I don't know if it's a Buddhist story, a Taoist story, or whatever, or maybe Christian monk, whatever, where there's this one monk who was very, very holy man, and there's a student would come up to him and go, I really want to learn. I want to learn from you. I really want to learn from you. Will you teach me? And he just kind of ignored the guy, and then he kept coming up to him all the time. I want you to teach me. I want to learn what you have to learn. And they were in the water one time. He said, okay, fine. I'll teach you. Come with me. He took him into the river, and they faced him. And he goes, okay. And he put his hands on his shoulder, and he shoved him under the water and kept him down there. And the monk was like, okay, I figure it's okay. And then suddenly he's out of air, and he needs to be able to get up. So he starts struggling. He starts, begin to fear for his life even. And at the last minute before he lost consciousness, the holy man let go. And he's like, what are you doing? Why did you do that to me? He goes, when you are hungry for wisdom as much as you were for that breath, then you're ready to be taught. So a lot of us are very much, I want to do this, but then one hurdle, one hiccup, one roadblock, we're like, I shouldn't, I have to go talk to that person? Oh, that's too much. You're not hungry enough. You don't want it bad enough. You don't want it hard enough. How hard do you want it? So that, I'm listening as well to this, and if I'm not listening, Charles will bring this up to me later.
No, you're doing an awesome job, and that ties right back in to the conversation we had prior to this, where I was telling you got to live, breathe, eat, dream. Your whole being is devoted toward you achieving that goal. And that goes back to exactly what you said with the lesson with the Buddhist monk and what you were talking about last week, or even the title of this series that you're running, How Bad Do You Want It? It ties into how successful you're going to be in achieving your goals. Each person has to determine that for themselves. Some goals may not be as important as others. I've always wanted to write a book as well and get published. Have I done it? No, so obviously it's not a priority. My priority is to get that PhD I've been seeking for, forever.
Right.
So the book is on the back burner. Once I have that PhD, then I'll revisit that goal.
All right. I want to bring up something really quick, something I noticed in the Chatterbox, that DCP 3450 just mentioned that Tabla Rasa Fit has a video on her, and I'm assuming it's YouTube, and actually they put up the link for it that talks about the story that I just gave. So if you want to see that story, and I'm looking to the side panel to see if they're shaking their heads, yes, I am right about this, and of course there's a lag, so They're not responding, so I don't know. Wait, there we go. We got a confirmation from David. So that is the link to check out this story and check out the video from Tabula Rasa Fit. And I will do that myself. All right, back to you, Julie.
That's an awesome story. No, that's an awesome story. It ties into exactly what you're talking about here in this series, and helping students determine why they're pursuing this, because it initially goes right back to that motivation. What are you willing to sacrifice to achieve this? Because there are going to be sacrifices. You can't have everything. You know, it's very hard to have balance, and sometimes when you're pursuing a goal, you get out of balance. And that's normal, and you can revisit balance once you've achieved that goal.
Right.
People just have to have realistic expectations.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Charles, as I am looking up something else, do you have any other questions for Julie?
Yeah, I guess. Do you, in your job, do you actually say, you know what, we really don't feel like you should pursue this at this time, or do you just try to coach them on how to get the best out of the experience? Basically, I'm asking, is your job a gateway to where you can shut the gate and say, no, you're not going to move on in the program? Or is it really, you should listen to us because we're going to help you get through this?
It's both. I give the information. It's up to the receiver to take heed to the advice or warning. You know, if I'm hearing that someone wants a goal and they're not opening up to me and sharing why it is, maybe it's something superficial. It could be an ego trip. You know, I just want to be called Dr. Smith. I don't really care. And that's it. Then I go into the more specifics of the program, trying to open their eyes to what this is going to entail. It's a grueling process. It shatters your ego multiple times. You got to have thick skin to work on a PhD because you put your life's being into your work and it gets slashed left and right by all your professors all the time. You got to, and it's hard to go through that at this level because most people in the interdoctoral program already think they're the, well, I don't want to say a bad word, but, you know, they think their stuff doesn't stink. So to go through that rigorous academic critique, most people can't take. So I just open their eyes widely to what's coming their way. I don't necessarily tell people you can't do it because that's not what I'm about. I just make them discover for themselves if this is something they truly want to pursue and what it's going to entail. Most of the time that works for me. The students that I work with tend to stay in their courses and do well. I'm not someone who's just looking at getting people into the school. I'm looking at making sure it really is that's going to help them achieve their goals, and they're committed to it. So to answer your question, it's both. I don't say no, but I just put it out there very blunt. This is what you're in for.
Right. Right. All right. Well, I think I think this has been awesome.
Okay, great.
Thank you for calling in. If you wanna stay on the line, you are more than welcome to, because I'm going to invite people to call in 813-413-7133. If Julie is still here when you call in, you can actually ask her any questions you care to, or myself or Charles anytime. Julie, you can stick around with us as long as you want, and we may actually throw something back to you. But if you have something to do, I don't want to detain you.
No, I'm free for the night, so I'll just hang out and listen.
That sounds great. Thank you so much. All right, people, once again, 813-413-7133. I want to go to a quote that I was talking with Allison Williams, who is helping me with some things right now. And I was working on a blog called Ever Have One of Those Days, and I kind of got to the end of my blog, and she asked me about it, and then she threw out all these other ideas. She brought up this quote by Nora Roberts. Nora Roberts, she's a romance writer, probably the most prolific romance writer there is. And she goes, there is no magic, and this is not an exact quote because I looked for it, I couldn't find it. There's no really magic bullet to doing everything, to achieving your goals, to doing everything that I've done. Nothing more than just ass in chair. That's it. You know, because I was talking about how, you know, some of the stuff that I tell people, it's just kind of common sense stuff. I don't really have any, you know, here's your secret and here's all this. It's all do the work, show up, Do the job. You got a goal, do your baby steps, walk your way to it. Overcome the hurdles that you put in your own way. There's no magic bullet, it's just ass in chair. And that is something definitely, I have to listen to. I don't have anything I can offer. I can't offer you a feeling or a motivation or everything. It's just a decision that you're going to move forward. It's not, oh, look, I feel good about myself. And although we do everything because it feels good, it's pretty much just a decision to move forward and then put your butt in the chair. And like last night, yesterday I had bad allergy attack, about half the day on. And it was funny because just at the day that I thought, I'm going to get a lot done today. And I made a huge list of stuff. And I got most of it done. But I told myself, you know what? I don't want this allergy attack to get in the way. I'm going to do at least one more thing on my list. There comes a point when my allergy just becomes an excuse. Sure, I could have said, I just feel bad. But how bad do I really want to do it? If I really want to do something, I'm going to find a way to do it. If I really want ice cream at the end of the night, I'm going to work my way upstairs from the bed that I've been lying in and get me a bowl of ice cream. How bad do I want this other thing? If I'm feeling like crap, and I really want to play my video game, I'm going to bring my Kleenex and sit there in front of the TV and play my video game. I'll find a way to do it. But there comes a point when you care, it has to be you care more about what you want to accomplish than you do about your excuse. And that excuse could be allergies. That excuse could be going out and hanging out with your friends. It could be playing your video games. You have to care more about what you want to accomplish than you do about all those excuses, all those distractions. If you're not comfortable with the word excuse, let's try on the word distractions, because that's what they are. They are sucking the life out of your dream. Yes, family and friends are very, very important. Absolutely, especially if you're raising a family. You got to include that in everything. But, this other thing, there are people who have written by hand novels after putting their family to bed. How bad do you want this? How hard do you want this? How passionate are you about this? According from Rock Girl. Oh, what if you? I'm sorry, Charles. What if you have nothing that you are passionate about? I think that's. We'll address that in a minute. Charles, say what you're going to say.
Well, as I tend to do, I'll give you the darker side of life. Because I think we get burned out by going, man, I want this so bad, and I fight, and they don't quite realize what we want. Like for me, I wanted to touch the world, and I knew I was very vocal about things, and I'm very passionate about music. I'm not a good musician in any means. I mean, I can handle my own somewhat around people who aren't musicians, but I fought so hard to do the band thing because I thought that's what my love was. I was passionate about music. I'm passionate about touching the world. They should go together. And I got burned out because I fought so hard. I sacrificed, and I almost sacrificed my family for it. And I got my head back in the game. It's like, I got to have priorities and fix things. And universal timing is something I always talk about. Is when my life fell apart. Well, one of the many times my life fell apart. In this particular instance, the band fell apart. Everything musical fell apart. Podcasting had come along. I'd already started podcasting, and it was something I could do from home. And after I even let go of that, I just got everything straight. I'm going to get a new job. I'm going to make sure I pay all my bills, make sure my babies are taken care of, that kind of thing. And a year into that, I came back to my wife going, I have to talk. I have to podcast. And she was all for it. She's always hated the band thing, but she supported the podcast thing. And when you talk about how bad you want it, you also have to listen to the world, or to the universe rather, not to the world, because the world might just try to keep you down. But you have to listen to the universe going, maybe the path you're taking isn't 100% right for you. If you keep hitting the wall over and over again, it's not necessarily a hurdle to jump. Sometimes it's the corner of the maze that you're just not turning, and then you talk about putting down the games, but sometimes I'm always, I don't know why, I'm just so opposite on that. Because I know most people are lazy. Most people would rather play games than get up and do something with their life. I guess I've just been so driven in my life that I've burned myself out by not taking breaks. And I see that in my wife. She's 6.5 months pregnant, and she still tries to go and clean this house for this lady, and she still tries to take the kids everywhere. And she's always doing. And she's like, God, I don't know why I'm so tired all the time. Really? You're freaking pregnant. You're trying to have a normal life. It doesn't work. You have to take time to relax, because if you don't, and I know you do, Mordant, I know you'll take time, but you have to, so you're the opposite of me. You have to push yourself. I have to make myself sit down and play a game, or I will spend so much time working on my podcasting stuff that I'll grind that pencil into a nub. You know what I'm saying? I'll burn the candle at both ends, any of the analogies you can think of.
Right.
Does it make sense? Feel right?
Yeah, brother. Now, did you always, when you first came on podcasting, did you think that it was going to be what it's become for you? You were like, oh, this is the thing. I know it right away. This is my passion. Oh, and the light shone down on the microphone. And you're like, I have found it. I've had my heavy revy. I am here, and I know I'm supposed to be the podcaster, but I'm going to go over here first, and then I'll come back to it. Did you know from the get-go that podcast, did it speak to you like that, or was it something that kind of grew on you, like mold?
Well, again, talk about listening to the universe, listening to those around you, your support group. My wife always hated the band. I had so much trouble finding band members, trying to get music written. Well, I could write music, write all kind of things, but I was having a hard time getting put together. It was just stumbling block after stumbling block. I thought it was just going to make me a better person. And I got to tell you, I pursued music for 10 years. I pursued it heavily. As much as I pursued podcasting, I pursued that. And I started listening to podcasts because I had a ton of time on my hands. And like everything that I enjoy, I try to get involved in it. And podcasting, one of those things was so easy to do. You just flip on a microphone and start talking. I mean, what we do is a much higher level now, but it was that, is you start flipping on a microphone, start talking. And I liked it, and it was fun, but it didn't quite grabbed me, although I was very good at it, and I was very good at the editing. What told me this was right for me was my wife, who hates the kind of humor I was doing then. She thinks I'm a goober and didn't quite like that kind of humor. But she didn't enjoy the content of the podcast, but she loved the podcast because she said, the way you edit this, the way you put in the clips, the way you come up with the funny stuff is so perfect. I mean, she complimented me so many times. And other people who I valued their opinions when I would submit stuff to them, they're like, oh man, he just blows us away. And I'm sitting there going, I'm literally sitting in a single bump in an ambulance house, just throwing something together, and it blows you away. The immediate feedback I got from all of that, and the naturalness I had of just sitting down and talking into a microphone and not needing to have somebody there, which actually might be just schizophrenia, I don't know, but it worked for me. And so it wasn't me going, man, this is right. It was listening to everybody around me going, all of a sudden it went from, man, well, we'll be there for you, but it's not great. Not the response I was looking for in music, to all of a sudden in podcasting, holy crap, you're the right of podcasting. When I thought I was nobody. It's just something I do. It's just something I do.
Right, so it grew on you though.
Yeah, but it grew on me pretty fast. And when I took that year off from everything, I took a solid year off from everything. All I did was work and family, and that was it. And after that year, podcasting is what called to me, not music.
All right. I wanted to bring that up because it ties back into what Rocco was asking about. What if you don't have a passion? And then somebody had said, I think autodidact, and if I'm saying that wrong, I'm very, very sorry, says, look into everything that seems even a little bit interesting. If you have nothing you're passionate about, experiment. Look into everything that seems even a little bit interesting. You will find something you're passionate about, and once you find a feel... Julie's taking out the garbage.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you could still hear me. I thought you had me on mute. Put me on mute. Nice.
You overestimate our technical capabilities here in the Bear Crown Nation. Do we have no mute, woman?
Okay, I won't get any more ice. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's ice. Okay, it wasn't
Phoenix.
cans.
It's really, really hot here. I'm sorry.
That's all right. If you have nothing you're passionate about, experiment. Look into everything that seems even a little bit interesting. You will find something you're passionate about, and once you find a field, look into that and see what else is in there you are interested in doing. And that just fits. Thank you, autodidact. I don't know who you are, but thank you very much. That's very, very awesome. And that comes into play with as far as what you did. You found the podcasting, but it grew on you. So Rock Girl, if you really want to, if you really have nothing, you kind of got to look for it. Some people are content, and I don't want to harsh anybody who are like, look, I just want to be. I want to hang out with my family, raise my kids. I want to go and play my video games and do family time. I love it. That's what I want. More power to you. If that's what you want, good on you. But if you're looking for something and you're I wouldn't even call that an ordinary life. I would call that a spectacular life because it gives you such joy. However, if you're just content, never settle for a mediocre life. Never settle for, just something that, and I'm going to use the word mediocre instead of ordinary, because once in a while, ordinary is great. And I got this from Josh Shipp, who is a motivational speaker that I've just kind of stumbled onto. And one of his phrases is, don't settle for that mediocre life. It is up to you to find that thing that is you're passionate about. And if you don't know how to do that, then just find things that are interesting. And much like with Charles and with myself, they will grow on you. And you'll find that thing that just pumps you up and that you want to share with the world. And if you're like, well, I can't do that. And if you whine too much about it, I'm going to tell you, that's kind of a cop-out. You have to look for it. How bad do you want it?
If you're going to sit there and whine about it, shut the hell up, turn the podcast off. This is show 17. At this point, I don't think any of your listeners are going, I just can't. They would not be listening to you. And just to put the nail in the coffin, you suck if you're going to sit there and whine about it. Get up and do something. What do? We do Rock Girl, and I'm going to call Shenanigans on Rock Girl, because we know through this show, through other shows that she helps with, and we'll get into that in a second, that she likes photography. She got motivated by one of the Other Side of the Lives, got out there, started putting photography up for stock photos, got turned down because it's too generic or whatever. But she took that as a learning thing. I hope she really took that as a learning thing and still acts on photography instead of a disappointing thing. But she, she's the one that always brings up, well, I don't really have a passion. Shenanigans. You do. We know you do. And then you listen to your people. And I told her specifically today, she is the administrative assistant, whatever you want to call her. She's the bones behind the nation right now. She does the promoting on Facebook and Twitter. Right. She does any of the boring crap projects that makes me want to eat a bullet. Would you consider doing this? Yes, with a passion. She goes, yes, I'll do anything you want. You just teach me how to do it. And she does. She can learn it. She does it. She doesn't complain. She's earned every non-imaginary dollar I've ever not given her. She's awesome. And I told her the other day, and I'll tell you here publicly, we would not survive right now without her. For some reason today, she said, everything's going to crap. I can't work with the nation. There's nothing I can do. I'm shipping off to Africa tomorrow. I'd be screwed. And we kind of rely on her. And then so you listen to the people around you. And in her case, that'd be me and you, Mordant, saying, hey, you do a great job. This is your, and it turns into something else, because it might not be something you grew up going, man, I really wish I could work in the inner workings of a podcast internet company. But you fell into it, and she seems to like it, and she seems to be very good at it. You pay attention to those kind of things. I fell into podcasting. Who knew 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago now, that, I guess I started my first podcast about 6 years ago. Okay, 6 years ago, who knew I just turned my phone and acted like a stupid guy that I am, that in 6 years, I'd be not only running a podcast empire with 5 other people who work for me, plus Angie, so that's 6, but 5 other people who produce shows, a whole network of shows. That also would be known by the people I would admire in the field. That would be known by some of the bigger names in the field. And then I would want a career in it. I never thought that. I went, this will be fun. I started getting feedback from people that said, you're good at it, keep doing it. I didn't think I was that funny. I surrounded myself with people who I thought were funny, but they kept saying that I was the funny one. That kind of thing. I don't think I'm that funny now. Normally I would not consider my show comedy. It's just that's been so much feedback that our show is funny. Not this one, the Bear Call Nation Live, that, I list it as comedy now, but I never would have done that. Fall into things. You don't have to grow up as a little pretty princess wanting to be, super duper photographer. You fall into things.
Yep. I think that I think your show is entertaining. You know, it has bits of comedy, it has bits of seriousness, it has all these elements in it. And although we may be, you know, different shades of gray, I think that this one here as well does that. But I think yours is very entertaining. It's not just a comedy show. It's a very entertaining show, and that you can throw almost any subject in there, and boom, you have those guys in there that will make it an interesting subject. Which is why I think you can talk to your podcast guy on the air. I got schooled a little earlier. His name is Otto Didact. I accept that schooling. I mispronounced his name, Otto Didact. Not that means anything with his podcast, but I just happened to catch it. So,
yeah.
There you go.
There
And
you
the
go.
experts that we are, we have our dead air. I'm going to throw it out there one more time. We have just a few more minutes left of this show. 813-413-7133. Please call in. We're happy to talk to you about chasing and catching your dreams. We're happy to talk to you about we'll poke the bear, giving you that impetus to move forward, or maybe just kind of shine a light on why you may not be moving forward. Well, maybe that's why people aren't calling in, because they don't like that in a public forum.
Well, and I think we've become the yin and the yang. You're the very positive. Somebody calls in, and this is great about you. I'm not saying this negative, but this is great. Somebody calls in and goes, man, I'm 17. I'm thinking about being an actor. You're like, man, here's how you chase that passion. Because that's what you did. I'm the yang in that going, no, wait, darling. You're 17. You need to slow your roll. Figure out, life is so much ahead of you. And we bounce off of each other. So Mordant Mon will never say you suck. That's my job. So write angry letters to bearcrawling@gmail.com and not to Mordant@mordantworld.com. Yeah.
Awesome. Julie, you still with us?
I am still here.
Do you want to chime in with about anything we're talking about, just to give us another different voice?
Well, what Charles was saying really struck a bell with me, too. I kept nodding the whole time. I didn't know. I thought I was on mute. So I apologize. But, yeah, he had the great thing. Like, he found something that he was good at and he enjoyed, and it's not work for him. And that's another key. But not everyone's going to find it that easy. Some people are never fortunate enough to find that their whole lives, and it's sad that happens to people. But that is also another key to success, I think, is finding what it is that you really enjoy and it doesn't seem like work. It's fun.
Right. Do you have any idea how some people can find that? I mean, your doctoral students and grad students all have, they found their own way. But I mean, do you have your own personal, hey, this worked for me in catching, finding out what my passion is? Do you have something that people can look at, or maybe any ideas?
Me personally,
those
for
who are
me,
lost?
it's always, I have a passion for learning. I am a lifelong learner. I love learning. And what you guys are doing every single day with your podcast, you guys are teaching too. I mean, you guys call yourself coaches and motivational speakers, but it's a form of teaching. And you both are constantly learning and reflecting on what you're doing every day to continuously learn. So I think all three of us have the same, we come from the same kind of viewpoint, and the fact that we're both always, all three of us are always trying to learn new things. And what we each bring to that may be a little bit different, but it's still the same.
Right.
There's a famous Vietnamese saying when people greet each other, and it's basically, oh, how you doing? Oh, fine. The same but different. And it relates to this. We're all the same. All three of us are learning in different ways. Same but different.
Same but different. Not same but different.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but what Charles was saying is awesome, and I also liked how he brought in the fact, listen to the universe. For 10 years, he struggled with pursuing music and with the band, and he ran into continuous struggles with the people closest to him and just with the business itself. And then he just fell into podcasting, and that was a natural form, and here he is. He found his niche. He listened to what the universe was telling him.
Right.
And sometimes it takes 10 years. Sometimes it takes a lifetime. just be fortunate it took him only 10 years instead of 2.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing podcasting there, Charles?
A year after it started, basically. I think officially it started in 2005. And I started about 10 months in, 2006-ish. I started listening to other podcasts, and I started this morning Zoo Crew, kind of zany, shallow comedy. And it wasn't working because that's really not who I am. And then I did another one called What I Believe, which is a roundtable discussion about just the topics of the day and getting other podcasters in. And all that went away, and it kind of morphed into what we have now with the different shows I'm active in. I'm active, of course, on my show, which is comedy but serious. This show where we discuss the motivational topics. I'm starting a faith-based show now with another friend of mine that we just talk about the religious aspects of things, the faith-based aspects of things, and I guess it makes it. I've been doing I've officially been in the Bear Crawling Nation. Started on January 1st. So this January 1st, it'll be 4 years. 4 years I'll be doing this. So then I took a year off. So yeah, about 6.5 years I've been doing it.
Wow. That's not very long to come as far as you've come, and to be somebody that some of the pros are looking to and going, hey, you are somebody.
Well, it's because I always seek out bigger, better, more. And
Right.
I didn't just go, oh, I'm going to turn on the microphone and maybe I'm going to talk about something and maybe I'll just be I knew I was talking to the world from the moment I turned on that microphone. And I knew no matter what, I had to get it best quality, because I'm a little bit of an audio snob. If it doesn't sound good, I hate it. And I hate a lot of my old stuff because it just doesn't sound good. Well, before Bear Crawling. And people are like, no, it sounds great. Oh, no, it's not good enough. Not good enough. And that's maybe where you find your passion, people, is when you're doing something for fun, and even though it's fun, it's not good enough, that might trigger in you. That's your passion. Because for me, it was just not good enough. And literally, podcasting did not exist before 2005. I got started about 10 months to a year after that, and I've been working on it pretty solid since then. And in a field that's brand new, that doesn't take any more than a small investment to get your own website. It can be just a generic. In fact, there are some free websites out there. Just basically get out there and do it. For somebody like me, that was like a kid in a candy shop, man. No, that's like me in a candy shop. Screw all the kids. I'm burying you. I can take your candy. You know, it was free money. That's what that was for me. It was just get out there and do it, and had no rules, no regulations, no walls. Really, how do you not grow in that kind of environment?
Yep, definitely.
Well, I have a question for you regarding that. So knowing that you are speaking to the world, is there anything were there any initial fears that came into that, knowing that you were potentially speaking to the world?
You know, oddly enough, no. I've always been damaged in the way that I just don't think about what I say. I just say it, and I'm honest, and just... It took about 8 shows in to get to the realness of who I am. And actually, the first whole series I did was just fake, and nobody ever listened to that because it was just not me. But going into it, I just did it. It's never been... I've actually never really gotten nervous about talking in front of people and doing things because, I don't know, that wire does not connect to my brain. I just don't get it. You know,
so you didn't have a sense of failure going into it before you got started?
No, I knew I just wanted to do something. Well, originally I just did it because my friends were doing it. And, you know, I guess the realization was I never actually had that realization of people listened. You know, I was getting feedback and new people were listening, but for me, it was I'm staring at the wall and I'm recording. And then I'm putting it out there. And every once in a while I might get an email. Every once in a while I might hear a comment on another podcast or something. And it wasn't until I was a year into bear crawling at that time, when I listened to a podcast. I called in and commented on it. And their response was, "You're that Big C? You're him?" I'm like, "What do you mean I'm him?" "Yeah, I guess." You know, so it didn't really, I was really comfortable with what I did. It didn't even click that, I knew the potential was out there. I see my downloads are in England and Germany, but it's not like I'm talking to a million people instantly. It just never, it's like the reality didn't sink in, and then when it did, I was just like, hey, well, no, I'm just a dude. It's okay.
Cool. And Ricky, what about you with doing your podcast? Was that a fear that you had to overcome, knowing that you were potentially speaking to the world?
For me, the live show was a little bit of a hurdle for me to overcome, because I didn't know if I could speak for an hour on one subject, and I thought I would lose my train of thought or whatever. So I had a hard time starting up a live show. You know, I probably dragged my feet on doing it by at least a month before, or two, before I really just went ahead and did it, you know, with Charles's urging. But once I did it, I was like, oh. And of course, the first few of them, if you go back and listen to them, you're like, oh, they're not the best, right? You know, but you learn as you go. And even during a show, I'm a critic about, I don't really, you know, seem like I'm kind of floundering there or whatever, and I don't really like that show. It's not a great show. I'll go back and listen to the show and go, that was great. It was great. That long span of time that I thought was forever was not a long span of time. I knew what I was talking about. My guests were great. Everybody, it was entertaining and interesting, and it held me. So, you know, I did have a little bit of a hard time getting into the live show. But as far as touching the world, no, that's really what I want to do. I want to be able to be a positive change for people and for myself, because this is all, you know, you teach what you most want to learn. You teach what you most need to learn. As I'm talking to everybody here, I'm hearing myself. As you're talking and as Charles is saying what he's saying, it's affecting me. I'm like, oh yeah. And then when I go back and listen to this again, it's almost like I got my own little teaching thing going on. And I get a lot of what everybody else is talking about. And it helps me grow, and it helps me be real. Oh yeah, I do have to be accountable for that kind of thing. I guess I should move forward in that. I can't just drop the ball on this, because I'm in it now, and I'm in it to win it.
Yeah, and you're not letting anything derail you. Like when you said you thought it was horrible, did that derail you? No, because you've got the passion. I think that's what your whole talk the past two, this session and the last one is about. How bad do you want it? You don't let the little blips in life, or sometimes the big dips in life, derail you. That is still your main goal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think Charles told me that, you know, if you get to podcast number 10, you're pretty much in it. And that seemed to be, from what he told me, that's the magic number 10. Isn't that right, Charles?
I'm sure it made up something to make you feel better.
Ah!
It's actually 100.
Oh. No, well, anyways, you told me it was 10.
Yeah,
and,
oddly enough, it is. It's
well,
weird.
this is number 17. I think that the original, where I was just interviewing people, I think we got up to about 17.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, 30, 40 something, 40, 44 now. Wow. That's a lot of podcasting. But I like the live show. It's something I look forward to all the time. You know, it's when people are calling in, especially, it's working with people, and I get a kick out of that. You know, like I always say, I do it because it feels good. You know, helping others because it feels good. Helping myself because it feels good. We do things because they feel good. You know, even if you're being altruistic or you're sacrificing something for a child or whatever, you do it because it feels good. That feels good as well. So, and that's a good radar. You know, what's you know, in my connection with the universe and, you know, stirring the quantum soup, I can tell when I'm on the right track because I feel good about something. If I'm going into a certain direction and I feel bad about it, or it makes me irritable or whatever, you know, maybe that's not where I want to go. Or, you know, it's a negative thing that I'm growing in the world and for myself as well. You know, I'm worried about all my money. That's a feel bad thing. You don't want to do that. You want to pull yourself towards the positive. You know, I use weight gain as something. I don't want to be overweight anymore. That's a feel bad thing. I want to be really, really healthy. That's a feel good thing. So that's the direction you want to go in, because you'll push away from that pain. Tony Robbins talks about this. You'll push away from that pain just until you no longer feel the pain and a little bit afterwards. And then you're like, I can relax now. But then you'll slide back. You'll start gaining that weight again. If you're always bringing yourself towards being the healthiest you can ever be, that's pulling yourself towards the positive, you're always working towards that. So there. That's all I got to say about that.
That's a great point. No, that's a great point.
So I think, are you running water? I'm sorry, Julie, I'm messing with you. I think, Charles, do you have anything?
What did you say?
I said, are you running water? It sounds like you're running water.
No, I told you I'm in Phoenix. I have the fan on. That's what you hear in the background, the fan.
I wish I had a fan.
It's only
in this room.
100 and, hell outside.
100 in hell outside. That's hot. It's 100 in hell, folks. Charles, I think it's time to bring all of this to a close. This has been a great, another great podcast. Do you have anything else you want to send us off with?
Yes. You are
Fire
not
away.
live in 2 weeks.
Oh, that's right. I am not live in 2 weeks. Both Charles and I are out doing separate things. Charles is going to Disney World with his family. Yep. Please don't stalk him. If you do, bring gifts.
Yes. And I'll sign autographs, and you'll know it's me because I have my pimped out wagon. I have a wagon for the kids with a red canopy, and it says bearclawingnation.com on both sides of it.
That's right. I am going to New York, where my friend Chris Buellman, who some of you may know as Christoph the Insulter, Chris Buellman, his first book, it's a book release party published by, I think, Penguin Publishing picked it up. And it's, I can't remember the name of it. Anyways, its release party is in New York City. So I'm going to be there in Brooklyn with my good friend Chris and a few other people. So next week, instead, we are going to air the pre-recorded Mordant World meetup in Atlanta, Georgia.
Well, what do you mean by air?
Isn't it going to be, or is it just available for download?
They were going to make it available for download because I think we talked about how we didn't have time to train anybody to sit and run it for us live.
Right. Not Rock Girl. You couldn't train her to do it?
I don't know if I have enough Scooby snacks for that.
Well, we will make it available for download, and probably on Monday or maybe just on that. I don't know how you're going to do it. So you can listen to that, but it was the first time that neither of us were going to be available. If just one of us was, then the other person would take it. But that's what's happening there.
Now that just really came together. It's like, I need to talk to you about vacation. I need to talk to you about a book party, and it was the same night.
Yep. So that's happening for that. Now we are coming to, now that you know that, there you go. We are coming to the portion of our program where we pimp our friends out. Julie, do you have anything that we should send anybody to? Do you have a website? Is there anything that you're involved with that because of what you've shared with us tonight that people are able to find out more?
Well, if they're interested in going to school, I can usually help them, and I can get you that information. And I mean, I don't know if I should say it now. And other than that,
why wouldn't you?
No, I'm not. Well, because I'm all about helping people achieve their goals. So if it's their goal to get an education, that's great. I'll help them. But anything other than that, I'm not all about pimping myself out.
Okay. Well, you can find Julie at Northcentral University if you want to become a doctorate or earn a master's. There's 80% of the students are I'm reading my notes. 80% are doctoral students, 15% pursuing their master's, which leaves 5% of undergrads. You could be one of those 5%. And then I want Julie to help me as my counselor. So there you go.
Thank you.
Of course, you are welcome. Of course, you can find Charles at bearcrawlingnation.com and his own show, The Bear Crawling Nation.
Live.
And that happens live. When does that happen?
Thursday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern on stickand.com/bearcrawling, and also through Mixler here on the bearcrawlingnation.com, which Angie runs as well, Rock Girl.
That's if you want to hear it live. If you just want to listen to the podcast, the same thing with me. Go to iTunes. You will find us both there. The other side of live and Bear Crawling Nation live.
Miro. Go to Miro.
iTunes
competitor. Listed there. Blueberry.com is our friend. Blueberry.com / all the good stuff. / Mordant World / Bear Crawling / all of it. It's there. Blueberry.com. We're everywhere. We're everywhere you want to be. Except
we're everywhere. Yeah, except we can't say that.
Except we can't say that.
You can find all my stuff at mordantworld.com, and you can go to facebook.com/mordantworld. Please like us there, facebook.com/mordantworld, and you'll get all the updates as far as when the shows hit. I have my affirmations and quotes there. Anytime I do a vlog, etc., etc. Everything cycles through Facebook.com/MordantWorld, or just go to MordantWorld.com.
I say so. That was good.
I think that's it. Thank you, Charles, for being my co-host. Thank you, Julie, for being a fantastic guest.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I really enjoyed getting to participate in this and getting to hear Charles. He was amazing. And, of course, Ricky, you're always amazing. You both have a wonderful evening.
Thank you very much. And all of you listening...
And I wish you both continued success.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I hate lag. Thank you, all of you who are listening to and tuning in to The Other Side of Live. This has been a fantastic show. I will see you in, I guess we're going to call it a few weeks.
In a month.
But for now, in a month. I'll see you in a month. But for now, ciao, dream catchers.
Hey, soul sister, ain't that Mr. on a radio, stereo, the way you move, baby, no. Hey, soul sister, I